My brother tore the inheritance papers right in front of me and said, "You'll get nothing." Everyone was laughing. I stayed silent. No one knew that everything was already legally in my name, and when the truth came out days later, their faces turned pale. When he ripped the papers apart, the sound echoed through the room like an old door slamming shut. My brother was smiling, that same victorious smile he always wore when he thought he had won. "You'll get nothing," he said again, louder this time. My uncles chuckled. My aunts exchanged knowing looks. Even my mother let out a small, uncomfortable laugh, the kind people make when they don't want to interrupt what feels inevitable. I didn't say a word. My hands rested in my lap, nails digging into my palms. My heartbeat thudded so loudly it felt like everyone could hear it. I lowered my head the way you do when you're supposed to look defeated, when it's easier to let them believe you've lost. This wasn't new to me. I'd been hearing versions of this my whole life. When my father got sick and the hospital bills started stacking up, I worked 2 jobs. I took early shifts, late shifts, anything that paid hourly. When the mortgage fell behind, I moved out of my own apartment and came back home to help cover payments. I canceled plans, sold things, put my life on pause. But when inheritance entered the conversation, I suddenly became that daughter. The one who never did enough, the one who was always behind. My brother, who showed up only when it suited him, who always talked big and acted bigger, became the hero of the family. He was confident, loud, convincing. People like that tend to win rooms without earning them. After the meeting, I sat in my old Honda in the driveway for a long time, staring at the steering wheel. Messages buzzed on my phone. Family group chats, side texts, little digital echoes of what had just happened. But I didn't open any of them. I didn't have time to fall apart. I had work the next morning at the real estate office where I handled paperwork and filing. No one there treated me like I was special, but at least I wasn't invisible. At least my effort had weight. The truth was, I had made a decision years earlier not to fight my family out loud. I had learned that shouting only gave people something to push against. When my father first realized his health was failing, we sat together on the porch one evening, the air heavy and quiet. He looked smaller then. Tired. He said softly, "I don't know how all this ends." That same night, I wrote down the name of a lawyer a coworker had once mentioned. A man known for discretion, not drama. Someone who didn't make noise, just made things solid. Over months, quietly and carefully, we created a trust. Every document was reviewed. Every signature was deliberate. Everything was legal, clean, and strong. My father didn't want the family torn apart, so he told no one. Not my mother. Not my brother. Especially not my brother. A few days later, while I was loading clothes into a washer at the laundromat, my phone lit up. I had a voicemail. My brother's voice cracked through the speaker. "We need to talk. Now." I slipped the phone into my pocket without listening again. I already knew. The lawyer had activated the trust. The bank had made calls. The papers my brother tore up were theater. The real documents had always been somewhere else, signed, filed, and bearing my name. The second family meeting felt nothing like the first. There was no laughter. My mother's eyes were swollen, red from crying. My brother kept shifting in his chair, like he couldn't find a position that didn't hurt. The lawyer explained everything in a calm, almost bored tone. Properties, accounts, land, responsibilities. His voice filled the room while the air grew thin. Felt like no one was breathing. My brother looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. It wasn't anger. It was fear. "Why didn't you tell us?" he asked. I shrugged. No one asked. There was no applause. No triumphant speech. Something inside me broke open and something else settled into place. I realized I wasn't the girl who absorbed everything anymore. I had learned that silence isn't weakness when it's backed by awareness. After everyone left, I stood alone in the kitchen. The refrigerator hummed. The clock ticked. All of it was mine now, and so was the responsibility. Taxes. Maintenance. Decisions YouTube videos never really prepare you for. I took a deep breath. This wasn't a cinematic win. It was real. I didn't sell the house. I rented it out and paid down debt slowly. Kept my job. I didn't reinvent myself overnight. I just did one new thing. I took myself seriously. A year later, I quietly paid off my mother's medical bills. My brother tried reaching out, sometimes apologetic, sometimes resentful. I listened without losing myself. One evening, I stood on my apartment balcony watching city lights flicker on. There was no miracle here. No lottery ticket. No heroic entrance. Just an ordinary American life, steadier, straighter. I thought maybe this was real revenge. Knowing that the people who tried to break you no longer get access to your world without permission. I turned off my phone, lifted my coffee mug, and felt calm for the first time in a long while. I had stayed silent, but I hadn't lost. If this story touched your heart or felt familiar, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more true human stories like this. Your support helps these voices reach others who may feel alone. Thank you for watching, for listening deeply, and for being part of this community.